Hey, what's up, guys? So, I just want to share my personal take on the topic of semen retention and all the valuable things that I've learned. Um, this may be just kind of random. I don't really have a script for this video. I'm just gonna throw some stuff out there and just share some valuable things I've learned, because I think this is a very, very important topic, especially in this modern day with all the pornography and sexual immorality out there. There's such a push for us men to release our sexual energy, and it's really, really a problem. So first off, I mean, there's just this simple fact that I want to start out with. Like, your seed as a man, your semen, right? It's the stuff, it's the fluid that creates life. It has the potential to make a baby, right? I mean, that is common knowledge, right? So if it can do that, then it must be powerful. It must be powerful. So it's like, what do you think will happen if you just keep it within yourself, discipline yourself enough to keep it within yourself and transmute that energy to where, you're not releasing it, right? And it really does, like, from my personal experience, right? It's made a difference in, like, my energy levels when I keep it in when I keep it within myself, when I retain that energy. I do have more energy. I have more clarity of mind. It connects, everything within the body's interconnected. So it affects your brain, your mind. Like, you feel more clarity of mind. Your brain is more nourished, and your body overall is more nourished. So you just, in general, when you retain that sexual energy, when you keep it within yourself, you just feel better in general. And you just feel more masculine, more manly. You have more strength. And you're also, and there's something that's like spiritual, there's something that's like supernatural about it. You have a greater connection to God when you retain your sexual energy. You have more of a connection with the spiritual realm. That's why, like, when I like really discovered semen retention for the first time, even though, like, I've always been like a religious Christian, and I've always known that it's important to, like, abstain from masturbation, pornography. A few years ago, I first, like, really discovered semen retention and, like, how it's so powerful and all that, and ever since I discovered that knowledge and started really actually practicing it, I had even though I was a pretty spiritual person beforehand, within my faith, my religion, once I really discovered semen retention and really started practicing it consciously, knowing about it, I had a spiritual awakening during that period of time. That was like late 2022. I really had a spiritual awakening, and I gained more knowledge and grew closer to God at that time. Ever since, I've grown closer to God. And it's been, ever since then, it's been life-changing. I haven't seen things the same way ever since. It's like ever since then, I, like, discovered the Matrix. I, like, woke up from the Matrix, so yeah, it's a topic that's really significantly changed my life. And like, your seed, your semen as a man, like, it contains a lot within it. It contains a lot of proteins, vitamins, minerals. It's literally like a life force energy. It really is. Um, I mean, if it wasn't a powerful substance, it wouldn't be able to create life, you know? So it only makes sense that your overall being is improved when you retain that, when you keep it within you, you know? Um, and also, I've noticed, and I've talked about this before, like the periods of time that I gave into pornography and masturbation, the periods of time when I've relapsed, right? Especially when it was like consistent. Um, I have really experienced more like bad luck the periods of time when I was like releasing my sexual energy too much. I've experienced bad luck. Like, just here's some examples I'll just throw out there. Getting a speeding ticket, from a cop around the times that I relapsed. Getting in a car accident. Having really painfully awkward experiences with people. Almost losing my job. Stuff like that, just not fun stuff. So things don't, it's at least something that I've noticed, is that when you give in to sin, when you relapse, things just don't go as smoothly, and you experience like more bad luck. And then it's the opposite effect when you live righteously, when you're retaining your sexual energy, when you're choosing to be virtuous, is you experience blessings naturally, and things go more smoothly for the most part. Not that life is perfect when you're sober, when you're retaining your energy, but things just, God has no other choice. It's just like the laws of the universe. God has no other choice but to bless you if you're living righteously and if you're being virtuous, right? So yeah, those are just some things that I've learned. Yeah, guys, like, and also there is really a distinct difference between releasing through sex with your partner, like your marriage partner, and masturbation. That's something else that I've learned. Now, still, of course, through sex, you still lose energy when you release, obviously. But there's an exchange of energy between you and your loved one, and you kind of get something in return, right? If that makes sense. It's like they call it a sacred energy exchange. Sex, sex, sacred energy exchange. But through when you release your sexual energy through masturbation, you don't get anything in return. It's all just loss. It's pure loss of energy. You don't get anything in exchange. It's very detrimental, guys. Masturbation, they may, there may be like doctors out there that will tell you like, oh, it's okay, it's healthy. No, like, that is a big, fat, dirty, corrupt lie. They're trying to keep us weak. They're trying to make us weak. Yeah, don't believe that lie. Masturbation is not healthy. It is detrimental. It is very destructive. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I want to say, guys, in this video. Those are just some really valuable things that I've learned about semen retention. It's really changed my life ever since I really learned about it, and I just hope and pray that this message really strikes a chord in somebody, and that you use the knowledge of semen retention and let it change your life. But catch y'all on the next one. Thank you for tuning in. Hey, how's it going? Hope y'all are doing well today. So I want to talk about semen retention in this video. First off, I just want to kind of ask y'all, like, let me know what you think about this type of video, these types of videos that I've been doing where like I just record my voice and I have an image in the background. Like, do y'all like this? Like, how many of y'all like this, and who would prefer like me actually recording myself instead? I mean, I do make those videos sometimes, but just let me know what y'all think. Um, just because, I mean, y'all are the reason why I'm making videos, and yeah, like thanks to you guys, I can keep confidently making videos. So just let me know what y'all think of this. But anyways, so semen retention, a lot of the reason why this topic came to mind is because I just went 14 days on semen retention and then unfortunately relapsed. And what's come to mind is like I was really starting to feel the benefits of retention. Like I was really starting to feel the benefits, like I was really feeling the energy that comes from that. I was feeling the the mental clarity. I was feeling the confidence. I was feeling the drive and the motivation and the testosterone, the manliness, that good old natural state, that we should all be feeling as men, and then when I relapsed, it brought a lot of like remorse or sadness, disappointment. And now I just kind of like it's been a day now, about 24 hours since I relapsed, but I'm really missing that feeling, and I just want to get right back into it, and that's absolutely my intent. Um, And so that's why, like, a lot of the reason why this topic came to mind and why I want to make a video about semen retention is to not only inspire and motivate you guys, but to also inspire and motivate myself, you know. Um, but yeah, it was very easy for me to just make videos every day and to be productive and to get things done, you know. And I was really starting to feel those benefits. And I was feeling just more hope. I was feeling more hopeful, just better quality of life, especially after like getting out of a rut, because I was in a rut for a while of relapsing, like on average, like it was pretty bad. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. Like I was relapsing on average like every 4 or 5 days for a little while. And then finally, I started making some actual progress again, and I went 14 days, then relapsed. And yeah, in those 14 days, like I was really reminded again of what retaining your energy can do for you, because I was feeling those benefits just enough from that amount of time to where I could really see the difference that it makes, you know? Um, so yeah, the relapse just brought a lot of just disappointment and sadness. Now, don't get me wrong, like I still felt hope. I'm still hopeful. I wasn't like totally down and out, but I'm sure y'all know what I mean. Um, but yeah, like when you release your sexual energy, when you release your seed as a man, it depletes precious resources from your body. It depletes minerals like zinc, um, and just all kinds of stuff. You're basically throwing away a lot of proteins. That's a big one. Is proteins you're releasing out of your body. You're releasing testosterone. You're releasing a lot of precious resources, amino acids, vitamins, minerals, proteins. Um, So it really does weaken you quite a bit. Um, and yeah, it just affects, there's the whole body mind connection thing, right? So it affects your mind. You can't you can't think as clearly. You're more reactionary, especially if you're releasing that energy on a regular basis. Like, it really negatively affects you mentally a lot. Just because there's not as much fluidity going in your mind to make it clear and active. Um, so your mind, when you release it, it doesn't function at the rate and in the way it should naturally if you're releasing. But when you're keeping that energy within yourself, um, I'm probably not explaining this very well, but like the fluids, it's like what's a good example? Like what's the word? It's kind of, I guess you could say, like I don't think this is a very good example, but like WD-40. You know how like things like get rusted up, like metal gets rust and it starts like not really working as well. Um, keeping in your semen within your body is like it's like it's a lubricating, energizing fluid that's essential for your body, and it kind of like it helps your brain perform better. It helps your brain perform the way it should perform, and you can think more clearly, and you can articulate yourself better, and all that good stuff. Um, and I think this video in and of itself is a good example because I'm having a hard time finding the words for things. It's because I relapsed yesterday. So this right here in and of itself, me trying to make this video and me struggling, is a good example of what releasing does to you. You can't formulate your thoughts as well, and you just can't think as clearly. Yeah, I mean, there you go. Like, me talking and making this video is a prime example of what releasing your sexual energy does. I'm having a hard time forming my thoughts and saying what I'm trying to, having a hard time saying what I'm trying to say. um, but yeah, like it negatively affects just pretty much everything within your body when you release. But when you keep that energy within yourself, especially every 2 weeks, the semen is reabsorbed throughout your body, and it strengthens and enhances each and every part of your body every 2 weeks that you hold it in. Um, so your brain functions and performs better, your muscles, your bones, your nervous system, and everything is basically the way it should be naturally, you know? And you can actually feel strong and manly and feel motivated and have like a real drive for life and pursuing your goals because you have that life force fuel that your body needs, you know? Um, like you can take in like as much like healthy food as you want, like fruits and vegetables and vitamins and minerals. But if you're releasing your semen, your sexual energy on a regular basis, it's not really going to do you much good, and it's not really going to make that much of a difference. You're healthy eating, because your semen is your true source of health and strength. Um, Anyways, those are just some things that I've learned and I just want to share with you guys. And also, oh yeah, I also want to say, like, it's not just men. Women can experience the same, like, from what I've heard, they literally experience like the same benefits pretty much. It may not be exactly the same as a man, of course. Um, but from energy preservation from NoFap, like I've heard about, I don't know how many of y'all are familiar with Jane Michaels, but I've heard that Jane Michaels, when she went 90 days NoFap, she basically experienced like pretty much the exact same type of benefits that a man does going 90 days on NoFap. Like she described like the same general benefits, the mental clarity, the more energy, all that good stuff, more drive, more motivation, confidence, all that stuff. Like she was just saying like it transformed her life for the better, to put it simply, right? So I just want to throw that out there. Like it's not just men. It's pretty much the same thing for a woman too. Like if you retain your sexual energy and keep it within yourself as a woman, it'll really benefit your life, just like with us men. So I just want to throw that out there. Um, and the last thought that I wanted to share before I end this video is um, sexual. Something that I've learned is that sexual immorality and like releasing, people releasing their sexual energy on a regular basis through like the influence of pornography or any kind of deviant type of sexuality. I've learned that it's literally one of the number one causes of all the corruption and all the evil and all the negative influence of this world is literally because of deviant sexuality and like releasing your sexual energy like on a regular basis. People constantly like, men constantly ejaculating through like masturbation or sex, and women doing the same thing, like releasing your sexual energy, masturbation, all that stuff. It's literally one of the number one causes of the war, the division, the hatred in this world, all the sin and people like rape, people getting raped and all this terrible stuff and the toxic politics and all that. It's literally because people are releasing their sexual energy too much and they're not keeping that within themselves. It's true, guys. It's true. This is something that I've learned. And I've kind of just went within and like kind of just really thought about it. And I've just felt the Holy Spirit confirm to me that that is the truth. That sexual immorality, to put it simply, is absolutely one of the number one causes, if not the number one cause, of all the division and the negativity in this world. So it's really important that we be the change that we want to see in the world, Be that light, be that example, retain your sexual energy, and spread this message out there of retaining your energy and how important it is, Anybody that's ready to hear and receive this message and practice this in their own lives, look out for those people. And I encourage any of you listening to this video to make YouTube videos yourself about NoFap and about energy preservation, and try to spread this message, because it's really, really important. Like, it's in, if you look and pay attention, if you do your research, like every single religion out there, like pretty much every religion out there, like for example, Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, and all the different religions, they talk about, at least in some way, shape, or form, they talk about semen retention and retaining your sexual energy. They talk about the value of that. So there's really, really something to this. But yeah, that's pretty much all I want to say in this video, guys. That's all I want to talk about. I appreciate y'all tuning in, and if anybody's new to the channel, if you'd like to subscribe, I'm going to be continually putting out more videos like this, almost on a daily basis. But yeah, that's all I want to say, guys. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Hey guys, so in this video, I want to talk about semen preservation, energy preservation, semen retention. There's a few different names for it, but yeah, y'all get the point. So yeah, I just feel like there's a lot that I've learned about semen retention. And I also have my fair share of experience as far as it goes with this topic of practicing semen retention. So I just want to share some insights that I have on this topic, and also share some very interesting, insightful things that I've learned that you may or may not know about semen retention. So first off, what comes to mind is this is a very essential aspect of our bodies as males, right? It's really like the fluid of life. Something that I've learned is that when we eject that out of ourselves, it's really like when you're driving your vehicle and it gets to the point to where it's low on oil, or like desperately needs an oil change, and like your vehicle's like making a strange noise, or something just seems off with the engine, it just seems like your car is really struggling. That's what it's like, recently after you release that sexual energy. It's like it's just an example, right? It's like your vehicle with very low oil, like that is like the essential oil of our bodies, right? Is the seminal fluid. It is very important for the function of our nerves and of our brain. Like for example, you'll notice a lot of guys these days, they'll have trouble with like articulating themselves. Even even myself from time to time, like that's definitely been me. I might I might even have some trouble articulating myself even in this video. I'll try not to, but I'm just being humble, guys, that's all. But yeah, like, guys, people that release their sexual energy too often, they'll have a really hard time with articulating themselves, just that's just an example, right? And also just, yeah, like low, I've mentioned this before in previous videos, like very little emotional stability. Like you're more like reactionary and emotional and like quick to anger when you're low on those energy reserves, when you're releasing too much. Yeah, you're more susceptible to anxiety and depression. So yeah, like it's literally like an essential oil for our bodies. Like I said, like it's it's very important for just the overall function of our bodies. So like when you're retaining that seminal fluid, when you're keeping it within yourself for a good period of time, that recycles and that builds up, and that will make the different functions of your body a lot more optimal and effective. So like when you're retaining, you'll be able to articulate yourself very well. you know um, you're a lot more quick-witted and articulate, and like for example, like you could, if you're a YouTuber, right? Like you do YouTube, and you make content like myself, for example. You could do like an hour long talk like this, like almost easily in a way. you know you could make like an hour long video, or like over an hour long video, just talking about a specific topic. you know and I've heard that, like, men way back in the day, a long time ago, when they were like actually retaining their sexual energy, they would have hour long conversations with each other, or like hours long conversations, just discussing things that are important, discussing philosophy and all that. And that was like a normal thing for men to have like these important conversations for long periods of time and counsel with one another, stuff like that. Yeah, as men, we're supposed to be, we're born as natural leaders, so long as we're retaining that energy within us. Yeah, we're supposed to be natural leaders, and we're supposed to have naturally that inner strength and confidence. Anxiety, depression, awkwardness, all that stuff like that, that's not actually supposed to be normal. It's not natural, you know but it's just that the dark forces of this world, society, has kind of pushed all that on us, because of the devil, really, and all the corruption. But not to say that there's not the opposite, that there's not the light, and that there's not the forces of good, you know. But I'm just saying, like, we live, it's just kind of how this world is, in this test of living here on the earth. It's a fallen world. It is a dark world that we live in. I don't think any of us can really deny that. But yeah, like, it's not actually natural for us to have awkwardness and anxiety and depression, and have a difficult time like articulating ourselves and stuff like that. Yeah, and you have a much stronger connection with God. So yeah, you got to think of it you got to realize that your seminal fluid, it's an essential part, it is an essential aspect of your body and your overall well-being, not only physically, but spiritually as well. It's very spiritual. So it benefits you both physically and spiritually. And when we retain that energy, that fluid, um, we're able to have a much stronger connection to the higher realms. It can help with activating our pineal gland. And yeah, like I said before, having a stronger connection with God. Um, and we're therefore more easily able to receive revelation from God for our personal lives and for our families. Um, and yeah, so not only do you receive great benefits spiritually, but you also receive great benefits um, physically as well. You're able to, if you're retained for long enough. I mean, I was in contact with somebody. Unfortunately, I'm not in contact with him anymore. He just kind of stopped talking to me. But I'll just leave him anonymous. But I was in contact with this guy for a little while that was an accountability partner of mine, and he retained for a long time. He was like 800 plus days on energy preservation, and he was telling me about how, like, he labored, like he worked, like he did physical hard labor for hours and hours, like without taking a break, like pretty much easily. And like he was always constantly active doing stuff, like he would like he would be like up really late at night. Like there's times when he was messaging me, sending me messages, like really late at night. It was like 12, 1, 2 a.m. and he was like sending me messages, and like he didn't even need much sleep, and he would send like these really long voice recordings to me sometimes, just like sharing his thoughts and sharing how his day went, what he experienced. Like I'm talking about, like he would send like 10, 15 minute long voice recordings, just like talking to me, like telling me about things he's learned, how his day went, stuff like that. So that's just like an example. It's a really good example of what the life of a retainer is like. Like the life of a retainer that's retaining for a long time, long term. It's kind of unfortunate that I'm not in contact with him anymore. Maybe he'll reestablish contact at some point. Who knows? But yeah, I just thought that was a really good example. Like he would tell me these experiences and stories that he had with people, and like people treating him with a lot of respect, and like people just like giving him things, giving him money and all this stuff. Like yeah, like if you keep the commandments of God, you know you're naturally going to be blessed. Like the Lord God has no other choice but to bless you if you keep his commandments. You know, it's just how the laws of the universe, it's just how God, our Father in heaven, works. You know, so it's just some important things to keep in mind. That's really all I got to say. Hope you all got something good out of this video. And thank you so much for tuning in. Hey guys, so I just want to share, I guess you could say, a short little testimony on the topic of semen retention. So I had a relapse recently as far as it goes with semen retention specifically, And, I mean, let's just put it this way. I'm in a committed relationship. Things happen when you're in a committed relationship, when you're with a woman, y'all get the point, right? And that was kind of recently, right? And yeah, I practiced that time around. It was about 17 days of energy preservation, right? And then, like, I can't even make this up, guys. Like, recently I got pulled over by a cop, and it was one of those like little kind of inconsequential things, really chill interaction with the cop, and it was just a warning, one of those things. But like, still, like, I don't know about you guys, but I personally believe that had something to do with relapsing on semen retention, losing that spiritual energy, losing that energy, Now, of course, like, it's way better to lose that through intimacy with your partner, with your loved one, compared to masturbation, of course. But I really have a testimony of how important it is to preserve that energy even when you are in a committed relationship, just because, honestly, I personally believe, and if any of you disagree, that's okay, but I'm just sharing my beliefs. I personally believe that I wouldn't have gotten pulled over by the cop. I wouldn't have even had to deal with that. Even if it was like inconsequential, there wasn't really much to it. It was just a warning. Like, still, like, I don't think I would have even had to deal with that if I had not have relapsed on semen retention. I really believe that. I really do. And I remember around the end of last year, I had to deal with a car accident. It wasn't too bad. It was minimal on my end, but still, like, I remember the end part of last year, those last couple of months of last year, I was struggling with relapsing on nofap, right? Like, through masturbation. And I really, really do see that as natural karma that came about as a result of me relapsing on a regular basis. Like, I swear to you guys, like, this is true, and I mentioned this, I know it's like similar sort of thing, right? But, like, I'm just saying, I mentioned this before in a previous video last year, and it was like almost a year ago at this point. It was another incident where I was getting pulled over by a cop, but I had relapsed recently on nofap. Like, it was a nofap relapse where, I gave into PMO, right? And it was like a day or two later, I got pulled over by a cop, and I actually got a ticket, and it was like not a good experience. Like, it was a bad experience, so, like, I swear this stuff correlates with each other. Like, you literally get bad luck when you lose your energy unnecessarily. You know what I mean? Now, yeah, it's definitely not as bad when it's bonding with your loved one. But this is really just my testimony of the power of semen retention. I think there's really something energetic about this, guys. Like, there's something that's, it's almost kind of hard to explain, but there's an energetic thing about this that's kind of hard to explain, right? Where when we retain this energy, when we hold it in, when we abstain from masturbation, like, we are naturally blessed, and then when we expel this energy out of us, especially when it's not necessary to expel this energy out of us, we're not procreating or anything, then it's just like we kind of just receive bad luck. But especially when we waste this energy through masturbation. If you're wasting it through masturbation, like, I really believe you'll receive, like, worse bad luck. You know what I mean? And this is just, like, I mean, if you think about it, guys, like, this is a nofap motivation. Let this motivate you. Like, from, at least from my own experience and from what I've heard from other sources and other people, like, I swear to you guys, this is true. Like, if you retain that energy within you, and the longer you retain, the more you will be blessed, you know? And if you are expelling that energy out of you, especially when it's not necessary, there's going to be natural negative consequences that will come as a result in whatever way, shape, or form. It could be minimal consequences, it could be big consequences. It just depends. It's just different for everybody. But I don't mean to strike fear in anybody's hearts. I would say, don't give in to fear, but I'm just saying, like, this is something that I've kind of noticed is negative consequences come from that. So yeah, just really value your energy and just keep these things in mind. Like, if you're in a committed relationship like I am, just keep that in mind. Like, try not to release that energy when it's not necessary to release that energy. You know what I mean? And it's okay to release every once in a while. You know what I mean? Like, if you're married, if you're in a committed relationship, but, like, just be aware, like, have a balance, that's all I'm really saying. But hope y'all got something to get out of this video, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Hey guys, so I wanted to talk about a topic that's been on my mind recently, and it's regarding semen retention, energy preservation, in other words. And yeah, it's the fountain of youth. The practice of semen retention is the fountain of youth. That's something that I've learned. And I just love talking about these topics, guys, that, like, the elites are trying to hide from society, from the public, from just most people in general. I love just exposing these things and revealing the truth. I love this kind of stuff. And so kind of what sparked this video idea to talk about this is I watched a YouTube short recently where it was a video of what's his name, Ralph Macchio, I think that's how you say his name. That guy. If I mispronounce his name, I'm sorry, but that guy that played the Karate Kid, the Karate Kid actor from the 80s, and he's in the new show now and everything, Cobra Kai. Yeah. So, there was like an interview with him, and he was saying, like, how old he is, that he was like 60 years old, and that he looks like really good for a 60-year-old. He looks a lot younger than that. And then there's a clip from, like, when he was 30 years old, and there's people that were saying that he looked like he was 18 when he was 30 years old. And there's people in the comments section that are like, oh my gosh, like, this guy just has golden lucky genes. Like, people were saying that, stuff like that in the comments section. And I was just thinking to myself, like, I know what his secret is. Like, I know how, these people, like these celebrities, for example, like, how they're able to keep themselves looking young like that. These some of these male celebrities that are older, not every older male celebrity, but some of them, they do, look young for their age. They look really good for their age. Like Tom Cruise, for example. He's another example. You know, he's like what, 63 years old or something like that, and he looks great for his age. He looks like 10, 15 years younger than that at least, you know. Um and yeah, like their secret, like I know that their secret is semen retention, because I mean think about it, you know, like that's the essence of life. Like that's the fluid, that's the stuff that makes babies, right? That's the procreative substance. So it only makes perfect sense that if you practice keeping that within yourself for long periods of time and just really having, ejaculation control, at least, in moderation, at least, and just retaining that energy, that it would keep you, it can keep you more youthful, and you don't really age, at least not as much, because it supports, that fluid supports everything within your body. It supports and sustains everything. I've talked about this before in previous videos that I've made about semen retention. Um, but I have a hard time explaining like the science of it, but it's really, really important for your nerves and your blood and your mind, your brain, and your skin, and just your overall physical health, and even your spiritual health. But yeah, like it's just like, just think about it, like it's the substance that creates life. So therefore, if you keep it within yourself, if you practice keeping that within yourself, it only makes perfect sense that it'll contribute greatly to your health, and therefore keep you youthful, and it help you, you can look good even at an older age, even if you're like 50, 60 years old, um so yeah, I mean, it's just something that I wanted to touch on. It's uh yeah, I've just noticed these people, they're very rare, they're not like common, but there's like a few celebrities that male celebrities that look really good for their age, and it's just something that I noticed. And yeah, semen retention is just really important for your overall health, just in general. So yeah, that's the fountain of youth. That's something I've realized. That is the fountain of youth, is the practice of semen retention. Now, of course, there's more to it. It's not just that. Eating well, and not freaking eating junk, keeping yourself well hydrated, exercising. But yeah, man. I mean, not a lot of people know about semen retention, and how that's a huge factor for your health, and that's a lot of what keeps people um, looking, younger and more youthful. Um, but yeah, it's just kind of something that I wanted to point out. I just want to throw this information out there. Not, yeah, I mean, as you can see, not really a whole lot that I have to say about the topic other than that. But yeah, that's all I want to share with you guys. Catch you all in the next one. Hey, what's up? So, what sparked this video idea is I was watching some videos on TikTok. I was on TikTok. Um, it's funny because like part of me doesn't want to admit that, but it's just the truth. Yeah, I was on TikTok, right, and I saw a couple of videos that were like meme type videos about like being in your 40s, being like over 40 years old, and how, like, 40-year-old men experience, aches and pains and stuff, and how that kind of comes naturally with getting older. Just like some like kind of meme videos about that. And I don't think it's funny like most people do, because I know the truth, and it's hard to be a spiritually awakened person and to know the truth about things. And yeah, so like I just wanted to talk about semen retention, right? Energy preservation, in other words, and how if you practice semen retention, you don't have to worry about dealing with that kind of stuff, at least not nearly as much. Like, I've learned that when you get older, right? Like when you get in your 40s, but you're practicing semen retention, right? Um, it's that fluid, that energy, your seed, it acts as uh I don't know if this is really the best way to describe it, but it acts as like kind of a lubricating oil for your body. Um, kind of, and I've actually used this example before, but like how the oil for your vehicle, the oil for a vehicle keeps it running well with the engine and everything. Very similar sort of thing with a man's seed, with your semen, is it keeps your body um, in optimal health, to where you don't have to, if you retain that within you, um, and you at least just like practice regulating your ejaculation frequency, not releasing too often, more just every once in a while, or just straight up practicing semen retention for a very long time. Like, you don't have to deal with those aches and pains that come with getting older, at least not as much, because you have that fluidity and that strength, that inner strength within you, that oil per se, that oil, if you will, right? The oil of life, right? And that keeps you lubricated. I kind of have a hard time. I feel like the way I'm explaining it isn't very good, but I have kind of a script to go off of to share with you guys, just to get into some necessary details regarding this practice, regarding semen retention. And it says, what if ancient wisdom held the key to unlocking boundless energy and vitality? Roots in Taoism, semen retention for spiritual and physical energy. Ayurveda, retention for enhanced creativity and vitality. Egyptian and Greek myths, gods and heroes who practice retention for power. The modern plight. Most men hit a wall in their 30s, experiencing back pain and joint aches, just like what I was saying before, fatigue and low energy, decreased libido and performance, mental fogginess and decreased focus. And the science behind retention: increased testosterone, balanced cortisol and insulin, enhanced production of telomerase, to anti-aging enzyme. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but oh well. Enhanced mitochondrial function, increased ATP production, vitality, sustained energy throughout the day, reduced inflammation, improved immune health, enhanced physical appearance, and mental clarity. And those are just like some examples, some like references. And I've noticed these things like from my own experiences, like the periods of time where I retain my energy more for a longer period of time, right? Where I went like over 20 days, over 30 days. Like I could feel that youthfulness. Any kind of aches and pains or anything like that just wasn't a thing. I felt more fluid and energetic, right? And then always, without fail, whenever I release that energy out of me, it's the opposite. Aches and pains are a little bit more prevalent, especially recently afterwards, right? It's a big decrease in energy, like I know it just from my own experience, you know? Um, so yeah, guys, like if you practice retention, if you practice energy preservation, like you will feel more youthful. You will have better health and vitality for your body. Um, Take Tom Cruise, for example. The dude's like in his early 60s, right? And look at him with the freaking Mission Impossible, with the new Mission Impossible movies. He's he's going out about running around like doing his thing in these movies as if he's in his freaking 20s, you know? So like the truth is right there in front of us, like in movies and such, but like people, I don't know, people are ignorant and like they don't really truly like recognize this stuff. But that is because I feel like Tom Cruise is a good example. That is because of semen retention. It's because Tom Cruise practices semen retention. That is the main reason why he looks so young for his age in his early 60s, and why he's able to be that physically active, and why he's able to do all that stuff, you know? Um, but yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I want to say. That's all I want to share in this video. Um, yeah, it's really just, it's something that the elites, it's a truth that the elites are trying to hide from us, you know? The elites they don't want us to know this stuff. And I think it's really important to share. But yeah, that's all I gotta say, guys. Thanks for tuning in my video. Y'all take care.